Talk about exceeding expectations. South Carolina wasn't supposed to do much of anything in Shane Beamer's first year. But he came in there and snagged key victories over Florida and Auburn and North Carolina and the Mayo Bowl to get the Gamecocks to a 7-6 winning record in 2021. Now they add Spencer Rattler in at quarterback. Now they add in a handful of other key transfers and return a lot of talent on defense. And it makes you wonder, guys, does South Carolina, do they have their swagger back? We're about to find out. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, ready to break down, analyze, and predict South Carolina's schedule and record for this upcoming college football season. One that is generating a lot of excitement in Columbia. Again, South Carolina wasn't supposed to do much in 2021, yet finished the year 7-6 with a winning record, a dominating bowl win over their rival in North Carolina. This team is trending in the right direction. It's only year 2 under Shane Beamer. You take a look at the numbers, guys, brought to you by College Football Encyclopedia. The Gamecocks returned 73% of their production from last year. That ranks 24th in the nation. You look at the numbers a little bit deeper, offense was a major struggle. That's what makes last year even more impressive. The fact that South Carolina ranked 111th offensively, had 4 different quarterbacks start a game in 2021, yet they still won 7 games. Things are going to be a lot better now because Spencer Rattler is in at quarterback, transferring in from Oklahoma. A Heisman contender, many thought, in 2020, 2021, is now over at South Carolina. He has Josh Vann in as his number 1 wide receiver. He has a trio of running backs at his disposal, and he has a pretty solid offensive line. This offense will take off significantly in 2022. The defense, guys, didn't get nearly enough attention last year. 41st in the nation. 5 starters are back, and they have a very strong secondary, one that ranked 7th in the nation against the pass last year, led by guys like Cam Smith and R.J. Roderick. This South Carolina secondary and defense as a whole is huge, guys. You pair that now with an offense that could see themselves rise up 50 spots in the overall rankings, and South Carolina could easily be a dangerous team in 2022. You take a look at their schedule. What can South Carolina do in 2022? We believe they opened the year up with a victory over Georgia State, a team out of the Sun Belt that won't be easy, that definitely likes to run the ball, which was South Carolina's defensive weakness last year. But it's a game with all the excitement, home field advantage, they should win. 1-0. They then get a big test in week 2, a road game at Arkansas. So first SEC game is a road game at Arkansas, 11 a.m. kickoff in Fayetteville, and this is going to be fun. And these two teams, they haven't met since 2017, and Arkansas is another team that, like South Carolina, exceeded expectations in 2021. Razorbacks went 9-4 last year, won their bowl game over Penn State, and returns a lot of talent. Loaded offensively with a dual-threat quarterback in K.J. Jefferson, a trio of running backs of their own, and a defense that is severely underrated, especially, like South Carolina, in the secondary. And the one thing I want to focus on is the Razorbacks' ability to run. Their offensive line is very, very loaded. South Carolina's defensive line is not. So I believe the Razorbacks will own that edge in the trenches. And the Razorbacks, with their ability to run, not just with the running backs, but with K.J. Jefferson, should exploit a South Carolina defense that was 94th against the run last year. With home field advantage, with the excitement that the Razorbacks are generating, I don't believe Sam Pittman allows his squad to lose this game. South Carolina drops to 1-1 and then 1-2 with a home loss to Georgia, a team, guys, that once again could easily win the national championship in 2022. They beat South Carolina 40-13, and while everybody will be excited to get to host the reigning champions, South Carolina just will not have enough to pull off this upset. So 1-2, but then they bounce back and they're 3-2 with wins against Charlotte and South Carolina State. So rest assured, rough start against 2 good SEC teams. They're 3-2. They then go on the road to Kentucky for the bulk of conference play. Last year, South Carolina only lost to the Wildcats 16-10, so it was a winnable game, and probably a game that South Carolina could have won if they had had a lick of offense, right? But now this game is on the road in Lexington against a Kentucky team that years past didn't have a lick of offense, but now does, with Will Levis at quarterback and Chris Rodriguez at running back, and a handful of talented wide receivers and a very typically solid offensive line. This is a Kentucky team, guys, that some could say could win 9 or 10 games. I might not go that far this year, but still a Kentucky team that, to me, in all aspects, owns the edge. Owns the edge over South Carolina. And while we have seen a lot of classic close matchups between the Gamecocks and the Wildcats, Kentucky will pull this one out, especially with this game being at home. South Carolina drops to 3-3 halfway through the year. 3-3 heading into their bye week. Perfect timing. They go on. They remain home to take on Texas A&M. A lot of the times, guys, in recent years, we have heard, including ourselves, say, hey, this South Carolina game could be a trap game for Texas A&M if they're not careful. And every year we say that, A&M comes in there and blows out the Gamecocks. And last year was no exception. A&M winning 44-14 over South Carolina. So with this whole trap game thing, South Carolina, they're coming off a bye week. They're taking on a Texas A&M team that could struggle. It's at home. Could be a trap game. I'll believe it when I see it. Right now, I'm giving the edge to Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies, a team that some people think could win the West if they can take down Alabama. They did last year. But Max Johnson's in at quarterback for the Aggies. The defense is getting a lot of hype. It should be very, very solid. And again, A&M, I think physicality-wise, size-wise, talent-wise, right now owns the edge over South Carolina. The one area they don't own the edge right now, I believe, is home field advantage. And A&M will be able to overcome that. So South Carolina drops that game. They're 3-4, and then the schedule lights up a little bit. People are starting to panic a little bit. We're supposed to be good. We're supposed to go bowling. We're 3-4 over halfway through the year. Well, rest assured, your next two games are against Missouri and Vanderbilt, and you'll win both comfortably. Last year, they lost to Missouri 31-28, but Missouri guys this year they don't have much of anything, right? Questions at quarterback, a horrendous defense from last year. Yes, Eli Drinkwitz is recruiting well. To me, right now, it doesn't matter. It's going to take a little bit of time for that talent to be developed. And Missouri right now has way too many questions on both sides of the ball for them to even start considering a win at Williams-Brice Stadium on October 29th. So South Carolina beat Missouri 4-4, beats Vanderbilt 5-4. They beat Vandy 21-20. Again, it was much closer than it should have been. Zeb Noland coming in to lead the Gamecocks to a comeback victory over the Commodores. To me, that was one of the better moments of college football last year, one of the better moments of the season. Very underrated for sure. But again, that was a testament to how bad South Carolina's offense was, almost losing to Vanderbilt, only winning 21-20, relying on Zeb Noland to pull that one out for them. It won't be an issue this year despite the game being in Nashville. 5 wins for South Carolina. Can they win one more against Florida, Tennessee, or Clemson? Yes, they can. They're actually going to get it on the road at Florida. I think this might be an unpopular opinion for many, but let's look at the numbers here. South Carolina beat Florida 40-17 last year in Columbia. 40-17. And yes, I know the swamp is tough. Yes, I know that the Gators, like South Carolina, finally have consistency at the quarterback position. They'll rely only on Anthony Richardson instead of Emory Jones or anybody else. But I don't think there's a 23-point swing for Florida from last year to this year. South Carolina owns the edge at the coaching position, year 2 for Shane Beamer versus year 1 for Billy Napier. They've got a great quarterback in Spencer Rattler. They have a phenomenal secondary, one that's not getting enough attention, that should be able to shut down Florida's passing attack because we don't really think the Gators are going to have much of a rushing attack this year. So really the one area that South Carolina is going to struggle is dealing with the home crowd that Florida will have on their side, and I believe Shane Beamer and his squad can overcome that. I believe South Carolina's defense rises to the occasion. They're trying to clinch bowl eligibility as early as possible, just like they did last year when they took down Auburn. That win against Auburn gave them bowl eligibility, so they didn't have to worry about trying to do it against Clemson, which they didn't get. So I think this is one of those games where Shane Beamer's team wakes up. And ultimately, right now, guys, I think is right now the better team. They win the game in the swamp, and a game that's much closer than 40-17, but a game that will surprise many. They then come home for senior night against Tennessee. Last year they fell to the Volunteers 45-20, but they got off to a really bad start. Don't expect a similar start for South Carolina this year. The Gamecocks are going to start fast. They're going to start ready. They're going to be ready to play for these seniors. Potential night game against a good Tennessee team. Last home game of the year. And again, the secondary is the key. 7th versus the pass for South Carolina last year. A Tennessee team that wants to air it out with Hendon Hooker, a guy who threw for 31 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. They're going to clash right here. South Carolina's secondary is going to win that battle. 2 great quarterbacks. South Carolina has home field advantage. They got the defensive edge by a long shot. And on senior night, I think they get this win over Tennessee, one of the better teams within the division. So South Carolina gets their 7th win of the year. They go on the road to Clemson. They lost to the Tigers 30-0 last year. They will fall again, maybe not in that bad a fashion, but the Tigers will have one of the best defenses in the country. South Carolina, again, kind of similar to Georgia here, just not ready to beat the big dogs per se. They fall to them, but finish the year at 7-5. 7-5, guys. And yes, some will be shocked or disagree with the wins over Florida and Tennessee, but I do believe South Carolina will win both of those. If you disagree, fine, mark one of them as a loss. They're going to win at least one. Point is, guys, South Carolina is going bowling again. Anything less than that would be a major disappointment. But we have them at 7-5 for a shot at 8 wins. So they're guaranteed another winning season under Shane Beamer. They improve on their regular season win total from last year. And if they win their bowl game, they will finish with 8 wins, which is going to drastically help on the recruiting trail. And dare I say, guys, I do believe that by season's end, if they haven't had it already, South Carolina's swagger will be back. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Make sure to go take a look at that and sign up for them today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.